I can't breathe are three words that are etched in the black experience. The slow, agonizing death of being robbed of oxygen until you are robbed of life is nothing new to the black experience. Each time a life is taken, it is a reminder that we are next. It is an emphasis on our lived experience and limitations that are placed on that experience. We are not expected to move beyond our station of servanthood. We are not to operate outside the status quo. We can't move where we want. We can't run where we want. We can't go to school where we want. We can't go to the parks where we want. We can't go to the schools that we want. We can't walk where we want. We can't even be seen where we want. I can't breathe is heard in the hallways of elementary schools filled with toxins from the industrial pollution that surrounds their communities. I can't breathe is heard in emergency rooms that turn away patients and tell them to self-care at home, which Jackie Patterson has said most certainly leads to death. I can't breathe from throats being squeezed by arms that swore they would protect and serve, like a python slowly robbing another living being of life. I can't breathe over loose cigarettes. I can't breathe over Skittles and tea. I can't breathe over CDs. I can't breathe because you're having a bad day, or you went to the wrong house, or you feel that I'm a threat, or I'm trying simply to get help. We are not safe, and we are not okay. The viewing of the senseless murder of George Floyd once again put on full display that black bodies, and in particular black male bodies, are constantly under attack. However, it is not just that the body is being attacked. It is also the mind that is being attacked. You see, there is a psychological breaking that happens each and every time. It is a message for us to stay in our place. Stay in the place that doesn't rattle your white world. Stay happy in your misery for my happiness' sake. In our home, we have always attempted to instill a sense of somebodyness in our kids. However, what has been instilled in our homes has also been challenged in the outside world. As a black father, my rage gives way to fear that no white father would ever know. Not only can I see myself in George Floyd, but I can also see my sons in both Jace John, or Ahmaud Arbery, or Trayvon Martin, and the countless others that have been hurried into the presence of the ancestors. I invite you today into a conversation with my sons and I. I must give this disclaimer that this is the first time we've had this extensive conversation, and feelings are still raw. Therefore, this is not a polished conversation. There may be some things that are said that will offend your sensibilities. However, I think that it is this point that we're having this conversation right now. We wanted to give you a glimpse into the conversations and processes that we have to go through to deal with the trauma of COVIDing while black. Listen, if you will.
Just staying physically distanced from everyone, socially distanced. I'm staying around my household. I'm always, well, when I do go out in the public, I'm wearing a mask and keeping gloves on my hands. Sometimes I have some hand sanitizer. Sometimes I don't. I do forget about that. So
All right.
yeah.
Micah, how about yourself?
Same as him. Socially distancing from people and staying at home for the most part. I mean, that's all.
So given that all that's happening right now, and with all of the uprisings that are taking place, how how are you still able to maintain and to stay safe even in the midst of that? What are you all doing to stay safe while still being active and fighting for justice? I guess Michael, I'll give that question to you. I apologize.
Can you repeat the question for me?
How are you with everything that's going on, with all that's happening around you, with the police brutality and the uprisings? How are you maintaining? How are you staying safe in the midst of that as well?
Well, nothing has. This is normal for us as far as police brutality goes, and kind of fearing the police.
Hmm.
So as far as safety goes, I'm always and have always been concerned about my safety, like my whole life. So nothing's changed as far as that goes. I mean, but right now, as far as the uprising goes, I mean, I want justice, and I know that the people want justice for sure.
Okay. So let me hold on just a second, because you said something that I think that people need to really hear. Your whole life you felt this threat on your life when it came down to the police. Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, sir.
And Malachi, I would say that it's a sad thing to have to grow up and look at those who are sworn to protect and serve you as a threat for your existence.
I agree.
What do you see justice being right now? How do you see justice right now? What do you see? What does that look like for you?
Justice to me looks like peace. Justice is us coming together, a change, making a change.
Okay. I hear you say I'm making a change, and us coming together, which is speaking of unity, and which is us changing. Now, I personally believe that it is not my responsibility to make the needed changes as far as race relations are concerned, because I am the victim of racism. Um, how do you feel about that?
I understand where you're coming from, but I'm also looking on like the next generation and what to come. We all should come together,
Mm,
build
okay,
something.
okay. So, Micah, in hearing this unity, in hearing about this unity, and hearing about this togetherness, and we needing to come together in order to make these changes necessary, one of the things that we are faced with in Black America is the lack of being able to find spaces to authentically be who we are, and to authentically be appreciated for who we are. So when we talk about coming together, Micah, how do you see us coming together when our experience says that we can't be comfortable with just being us?
Um, for me, I feel like we try to we try to confide to the a white person's world.
Mm,
So as far as being comfortable goes, I feel like if we were being our true selves, and this white world would accept us for being our true selves, and not that they don't accept us, because they do, because they exploit our culture.
mm,
But I think as far as them showing appreciation for us, not our culture, but our bodies, like black bodies, they don't show appreciation for black bodies.
mm.
So if we were to come to it, is not even amends, because like you said, it's not our fight. It's really theirs. So, but if we were to come to a point where they would accept us and appreciate us for who we are, rather than just exploiting us for the stuff that they like, then I feel like we could sit around at a table. We could get to changing policies and changing laws and doing stuff like that.
Wow, wow. I heard something, I think it was extremely extraordinary, that this particular young person, and I know you all don't speak for the whole youth generation, and so nor do you speak for all black culture, but I have heard it before, and I heard it just then, that there's an appreciation for the culture, but not the black bodies that come with the culture. How have you experienced an underappreciation for you?
For instance, I mean, I've worked since I've been 14, and I've had colleagues of mine grow farther in the business in a shorter time than I did, and I put in just as much work as them.
Mm. Okay.
And I do just as much as they do, or even more. But it's not because of what I do or what we do, but it's because of which one is more favorable, which is a person in a Caucasian skin.
Okay. How about you, Malachi?
I'm feeling the same way. I feel more depreciated when I'm working for someone.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't get it. I don't get recognition for the hard work that I'm doing.
Okay. Okay. I listen, I appreciate that. And to be honest with you, I've never heard you all say that before. So that for me is a revelation. And my hopes to you as a father, and if I could just pause for a moment and just be there, my hopes for you as a father is to let you know that I'm always proud of you and always know that you can do the best that you can do, or do whatever you put your mind to. And that there's nothing in this world that can stop you from being who you are. And no matter who gets whatever credit, that's not the ultimate credit anyway. So we're good anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
And in our house, we push ownership. So if you own your own, you got to worry about anybody giving you any credit about anybody else's stuff.
This is true.
So let's dig a little bit deeper for the people, and let's touch on where everyone is right now, and that is with the murder of George Floyd and the police brutality, and even what we're seeing now with the attacks on protesters. How are you all feeling right now? Malachi, how are you feeling right now with that?
I feel exactly how the people are feeling that are rioting and looting. It's just the sense of anger.
Yeah.
We're tired of it. We're tired of everything that's been going on for 401 years.
Wow. How about you, Micah?
Right. As of now, I am at peace with knowing that there needs to be change.
Okay.
So I'm not as serious as I once was, but like I just feel like at this stage I'm more so into the action phase. Like I've gotten over my emotional part. It's about taking action now. Like what are we gonna do to move forward?
Okay. So you all are ready for action. So let's continue in this. So people saw the murders, the murder, and then saw the murderers, or have experienced the traumas of what has happened, and all of it happened within a span of 3 to 4 weeks. back to back. There was the big explosion of the uncovering of who COVID was actually attacking, which was black bodies. There was the police brutality of, or the vigilante brutality of Ahmaud Arbery. There was the home invasion, the illegal home invasion by the police. That there was, and then there was this chokehold and this cry for of I can't breathe, this plead of I can't breathe, and then this cry for George Floyd's mother, and you're seeing all of this stuff, and you're feeling rage and you're feeling anger because this is an assault on black bodies, and it's a constant reminder. What is it that has kept you from getting out in the street and storming the streets? Michael, what has kept you?
You said Michael, right?
Yeah. What has kept you from and I don't like to use that term rioting. I really don't think that what people have done is riot. I think that these were acts of liberation, and people are really just showing in action that they're tired because nobody's heard what they've said out of their mouth. And so what I contribute this is to acts of liberation. But what has kept you from that?
Honestly, you all's teaching, you being my father and my mom, like, I just know that that's not the end goal to all those. Like, so we can't, and I know nobody's gonna give us anything that easy. So you gotta be smarter, and that's not the way to do it, in my eyes. In certain communities, I totally understand. And I will say that I'm not one who's against anybody who expressed an act of liberation or who looted. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not against it at all. But I know that we could have had a smarter way of doing stuff. So that's what has kept me from being involved.
Okay. Now, when you look at people that are looting, Malachi, you look at people that's looting, and you say looters. When I look at it, and I look at it from a historical standpoint, I would say that the looters are the corporations that took billions of dollars in bailouts while only giving $1,200 to families without any security of whether they'd be able to still have utilities or even still be able to keep a roof over their head. I see bailouts differently. I see looting differently. I see looting of, again, black bodies whose life has been snuffed out because of somebody feeling like they were superior. I feel like looting is people calling the police unnecessarily just because they don't want somebody in their community, or they don't want somebody in their parks, or they don't want somebody in their stores. That's looting of dignity. So when we talk about looting, we talk about looting of material, but we don't talk about looting of people's character. Why should people who whose skin produces more melanin have to prove their own death, or have to prove the honor of their own death when somebody is killed tragically by a police officer, or somebody is killed by some vigilante? Their background and their record is always brought up, and they always try to prove that they deserve to die. And we have to sit back and prove that they deserve to live. Why is that?
So I feel like it's mainly because we feel underappreciated when it comes down to certain rules that people have above us. And I feel like the people above us take advantage of the rules that they're being given.
I want to challenge you on that above us outlook. What is that? Who's above us?
Police mainly, government, or even the president. They give us certain things that limit us from doing things, and they know we can do more.
Okay. So what you're saying is you got policies that are put in place that limit our growth and our potential as a community
Yes, sir.
and as a people. I get
Yes,
that.
sir.
I totally get that. Michael, what do you say?
Can you repeat your question for me?
Yeah. So in finding this dignity and um finding your place, your personhood. When you've got so much stacked against you, and you're constantly having to prove that you belong, that you are part of humanity. How does it make you feel to have to do that?
So me personally, I guess I don't feel like I have to confide and
Conform, you mean?
I mean conform. Yeah, conform to that situation. I feel like I go through and really don't pay attention to having to conform to society.
Okay.
Because like I said, I feel like they exploit us in a lot of ways.
Mm.
So I feel like if we was trying to conform, then we'd be not being us, not being ourselves.
Okay. So I'm hearing something. I'm hearing something. Your validation, or Micah, the way that you're seeing validation is you're constantly reminded that you're validated because of the appreciation of your culture. Am I right?
And I'm not saying that validate. I'm not saying that I feel validated in that way. I'm saying that's the reason why I feel like I don't need validation.
Okay. Okay. You don't need validation because you already see it, and because they appreciate your culture.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah. I totally understand, fully agree. Fully agree. So why is it that you think we seek validation?
That is an answer I really don't have for you.
I got you.
Because with the way y'all raised us, it was more so don't try to be a follower, be a leader,
Yeah.
be your own person. So I've
Mm.
never really seek validation in other people
Mm.
because I love myself and I know myself and I know I'm good.
Gotcha. Self-love.
Yes,
Self-love.
sir.
I like that. I like I like the fact that you all have enough love for yourself that you don't allow for others to dictate who you are. And I really believe that that's something that we all need. We all need to have enough love for who we are that others' validation of us doesn't even matter. But we still live in this world. And as I said before, what we teach in our homes is also challenged in the street. So
Yeah, that's true.
when you're seeing people that look like you being killed senselessly, How threatening is that for you?
It's an everyday threat. Like I said, I mean, we were born into this world black. We weren't like so we done had to go through all of these times and the trials and tribulations. We've had to go through these all our lives. So, and it's sad that it's normal. It's sad that like us looking in our rear view mirror to see if the police are behind us or following us and stuff like that is normal. But that's where we've been. So I can't say it like make me feel any way but normal. And
Okay.
it's sad. But and I know that it's sad that it makes me feel normal. I mean that it is normal for me.
Wow. Wow. That this is a normal way of life. And you've lived this life all your life, so you get used to it. You know, when it comes down to environmental injustice, and in particular air pollution, again, we're talking about COVID and while black, and one of the leading causes of COVID has been one of the leading symptoms of COVID has been respiratory issues, and it's often come. Death has often come because people's immune systems are weak, or they already have underlying health issues, and it's mainly it's predominantly been affected the black community. And looking at that, and looking at the health disparities that have caused this COVID, and looking at the health disparities that cause, or the aggression that causes police brutality, and knowing that when people have gone to the hospitals, they've been turned away and told to self-care at home, which again, as Jackie Patterson said, has most certainly led to death. Where are you finding your hope right now?
I found my hope in everybody who gets out in the streets and does the protest, and everybody coming together. And I'm seeing this unity across the whole world. So I know I'm not the only one going through it. Are y'all not the only people going through it? Or we not the only people going through it? You know?
Okay. So I've got a question here in the chat, in the Q&A, and it's from Shiva Patel, and it says, thoughts on the city of Minnesota passing a resolution to disband the police department altogether and replace it with community-led safety. What other sorts of institutional or policy solutions will make your lives tangibly improve? Let me see if I can ask it a different way to make it a little bit more manageable for you all. So looking at what Minnesota's trying to do, they want to get rid of the police department and let the community actually lead the safety. And he's asking, looking at that, what other solutions, what else can you suggest? What else can you come up with that you think that can make your lives better?
As far as on a government level goes, or a community?
Either. Talk about it, period. When you look at alternatives, like he just like what Shiva just put in the Q&A, what Minnesota is proposing is to just get rid of the police department, period, and put safety and put community led safety in. That's an alternative.
That was already like one of the alternatives I had thought about.
What other alternatives have you thought about?
Another one is, it's not necessarily a police structure or anything like that, but it's communities. Like I feel like in order for us to really affect change in our own personal communities, we got to come together as communities.
Okay.
And possibly direct the leader of each community, and then all of the communities come together through our leaders, and that's how we get the national change that we need.
Okay.
But I feel like the world's too big for us to have one spot being changed. And you get like it to one place compared to everywhere would make a huge difference.
So you're saying that you need multiple changes. We need different changes. We need tailored changes according to the community.
Yes.
Okay. So one of the things that the People's Justice Council has done over the weekend is we've drafted some demands that we want to put out nationally. We're still in the process of putting them together because we've been given some suggestions that we think we ought to add as well. But one of the things that's tangible is the banning of choking. All police, no choking, period. And if a police officer does choke or is caught choking, they are to be processed to the fullest extent of the law. That's a tangible change that would make our lives better. What other changes do you see that can make your life better?
So something like that. I like one great example is the Minnesota. It's kind of hard to really single point things.
Yeah, I got you.
Cause it's more so like it's a lot of stuff that got to be changed. Not just the fact that he can choke somebody out, but what about the fact that they can just frisk anybody for no reason, or just pull your car over for no reason, and say that your tail light was out. And then you hop out the car and your tail light working perfectly fine.
Okay.
So like to me, it's a lot more than just.
So
know,
what you've described is what we consider is over policing. And in our communities, we find that over policing is one of the biggest things that we have to face. We are faced with. It even happens in our schools. Can you all remember when you all were in elementary school and when you all were in middle school and they had metal detectors when you came into the school?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now, do you remember when you went to Alpharetta? Was those same metal detectors in Alpharetta?
No.
Of course not.
Now, here's the deal. So, where we grew up, or where they grew up during their childhood, is not where they grew up during their high school years. Where they grew up during their childhood was in a predominantly Black community. Where they grew up during their high school years was in a predominantly white community. The police are seen totally different in the two spaces. In one space, in the Black community, they're seen as the police. In the white spaces, they're seen as safety officers. There's a difference. There's a difference in perception, as well as there's a difference in function. Police officers police. They look for crime. Safety officers keep you safe and protect you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, knowing the dichotomy of the two, knowing you all have seen the two, how does it make you feel now when it comes down to the way things are and what needs to be changed? What needs to be changed
The key.
right now?
So
I feel like
you got it, Malachi. You can go.
Okay, so I feel like what needs to be changed is communication. The communication that the police have with a certain person, or I'm not gonna say victim because we don't even know if that's a victim, but it's the certain person that he or she approaches.
I got something that'll solve all of it.
Okay.
Treat everywhere like it's the same place. like in Alpharetta, they treat, like, for instance, it's more it's okay. For instance, in Alpharetta, we have gotten pulled over so many times for no reason. Down where we're from, though, where we grew up, I can name one time, if that, when we got pulled over down here. But if in Alpharetta, for instance, if you're out at like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and you're black, you're getting racially profiled.
Mm-hmm.
It's no matter where you at in Alpharetta, as long as the cops see you at 2 o'clock in the morning and you're black, you're racially profiled. Down here, where it's predominantly black, though, that doesn't happen because it's more of us, so they see more of us.
Ooh. So one of the suggestions that it sounds like your suggestion, Micah, is have police that look like the community police the community.
Yeah.
Whoa. Now that's heavy right there. That's extremely tangible because that also goes into community relations. Another demand that the People's Justice Council has is that 7% of cops funding or police funding needs to go to community relationship building. What would it look like for that money to then be invested in getting cops that look like the community to police the community? What would it look like? What would it look like for cops who not only look like the community to police the community, but they also live in the community? How
Are you asking?
Sure. If you want to jump in, feel good about jumping in, brother. I ain't
stopping. I didn't have an answer for it. That's the reason why I was asking.
I got you. But it's really just a question. But I'm saying that's a tangible solution that we can find right now. One of the biggest issues is, and when you look at it, you're seeing people that look like other people trying to deal with those people, and there's no relationship there. Again, no white father could know the fear that I feel each and every time you all walk out the door, you all are out of my presence. Because at any moment, life for us can change. Just because we aren't protected.
Mm.
But what would it look like for a police officer that looks like us and also lives in the community with us to have that relationship with us? That black father knows what it's like to be a black father, even if they wear a blue suit or a blue uniform. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely feel that one to the T. To the T. He's scared for his son just like you are.
Right. He can feel my pain. He can look in my eyes and he can hear my heart.
That's just like with the George Floyd situation. If y'all would have heard, if you would have understood that strain coming out that man's voice, understand that 401 years coming out of his voice, then you would have hopped up off of him.
Wow. If you would have just understood his experience, mm-hmm. you would have treated him like a human being. That's heavy right there, man. Malachi, that's something right there.
Definitely.
Yeah. Listen, are there any other questions? Any other questions as we get ready to close this thing out? Do we have any other questions?
I got one for you, though.
Okay.
How do you feel like we can affect change as soon as possible?
Okay. I'm glad you asked that. I am personally one who believes that marching and demonstration should be a last result. It should not be the first. I'm one who believes that there should be some strategic planning that comes before marching. And there also should be a demand that precedes marching and demonstrating. And the reason you would demonstrate and the reason why you would march is so that so that you can draw attention to the demands. For me, if you're just out marching and you're angry and you don't have any structure or any demands, any strategy, you just angry and you out for a walk because nothing will get done. The reality is George Floyd wasn't the first. He can be the last, but he wasn't the first. And each time there's been a horrific death, there's always been us getting out in the streets and demonstrating. However, no one has changed policy. If we can put the same energy that we have behind the emotions of demonstrating and marching, which is righteous indignation. Don't get me wrong, it's righteous indignation. The acts of liberation are righteous indignation. They are a result of being attacked. They are a result of being assaulted. I get that. I'm totally and 100% with that. However, if we could only get to a point where we recognize that there is a specific target and we learn how to fight that specific target, which are the policies. Dr. King said it something like this: I can't make policies to make you love me, or laws to make you love me, but I can make laws to make you stop lynching me. If we would learn how to play the policy game, we could do a whole lot more damage. During the civil rights movement, they were able to get voters' rights passed, the civil rights bill passed. They were able to get all of these protections passed because they knew how to target. Dr. King took his rage to the White House. One of the things that I want to warn my millennial brothers and sisters whom I love and I ride hard for, one of the things that I want to warn you all against is don't give up on the voting process, because it's policies that rule our society. And we can always make them enforce policy if policy is in place. Just as we have a civil rights bill, we need an environmental justice bill as well. That's an injustice, and that's a slow death that's been going on long before we saw people on videotape being killed. That's been a lynching that's been going on for decades and eras. I've got a couple of questions. Let me get to those so that we can close it out. Hank Black asks, you mentioned air pollution and environmental justice. How concerned are you about climate change, and do you see a relationship between environmental justice and other arenas of justice? Hank, I'm glad you asked, and let me answer that question hurriedly, and hopefully I can answer it thoroughly as well. Environmental justice is a climate change issue, or climate change issue is an environmental justice issue. When you look at the source of the pollution and you look at what actually contributes to environmental or climate change, there is no difference. And therefore, if you help the people, you'll heal the planet. Our problem is we take people off the planet. You cannot take people off the planet. People are what makes this planet be who it is, be what it is. and they are being harmed, and the same thing that harms them is the same thing that's harming the climate. How do I see environmental justice? The loss of life of George Floyd, or the murder, the killing of George Floyd, the killing of Breonna Taylor, the killing of Ahmaud Arbery, the killing of Trayvon Martin, the killing of Sandra Bland, the killing of, and I can keep going on saying the killing of, are all environmental injustices. Environmental justice is about the things that harm us, or harm our life, or our life's existence. But even more for me as a man of faith, environmental justice is about loving your neighbor. And anything that comes against loving my neighbor is an injustice. I hope I've answered that question for you, and sorry to take the long way around. Nancy Lawrence asks, do you consider it important to work to decrease funding for police, or work for training in de-escalation of tensions and confrontations? And Nancy, I would say that I will not choose one or the other. We need both and we need both and right away. You need to immediately start training police, but we also need to look at how we actually spend our money. The militarization of the police departments is a problem. It's a problem, and you see it. You see it today when you look at all the protesters being attacked. You see it today. You see that not only is the militarization of the police a problem for community, but it's a problem for the police as well, because now they're conditioned to think that they're superior, and they lord over us, and that they are free to do state-sanctioned violence without consequence. So I think it needs to be both and. You need to work on the mind, but you also need to work on decreasing funding, and not just decreasing funding, but you need to reinvest that funding in community relationship building. Well, listen, I want to say thank you for being vulnerable enough to open up and let us hear your heart and your mind. I am definitely concerned for my future, and you all are my future. Again, as I said before, not only can I see myself in George Floyd, but either one of you all could have been riding down or running through the neighborhood and been assaulted and killed by white supremacy. Any one of you all could have been found on a corner doing whatever and been choked out by a police officer because they were detaining you. Either one of you all could have been followed from a gas station and shot dead simply because you looked like a threat. Either one of you all could have been sitting in the back seat enjoying a night out with your peers and shot dead simply because somebody was having a bad night and thought that your music was too loud. We are constantly under attack. James Baldwin said it like this: to be black in America is to be constantly in a rage. But this rage doesn't come as a result of us just waking up one morning and deciding that we were in a rage. It comes because it is a reaction to the things that happen to us. We don't feel welcomed here. We've never felt welcomed here. Our beginning here wasn't a welcoming situation. We were kidnapped, brought to stolen land, and forced to a life of servanthood. This servanthood has come under the whip. It has come under bondage. It has come under lynchings. And each and every time there's a black body that is ushered into the presence of the ancestors, it is a reminder of history's past revisiting us in today's presence. We aren't tired just because we've been busy and active. We're tired because we've been running for our lives.